Give Gene and Katie a minute. Fillmore, you have the flag ready?
You got it, man.
All right, buddy. Hey, Katie.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I think we're going to start. It is 7:03, December 15, 2021. Board of Finance meeting is now in session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
For which
Which it stands,
one nation
under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty,
and justice for all.
So I need a motion to approve the approval of the minutes for November 17, 2021 and December 6, 2021. We can take them together unless there's some amendments.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Thank you, Fillmore. Any amendments or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Motion carries. Chairman's comments. First, I want to thank everyone. Looking forward to working together, and you know, it's just a good group of people, and we all are Madison's best interest at heart. Secondly, I want to throw this out there to the group. Fillmore, could someone move Gene in, please? Because I need Gene to be part of this discussion. I love our meetings, but I'm used to meetings where people go through the chair and they don't just start to talk out. And it's not about being recognized as chair. It's not about, you can say, hey, John, you can raise your hand. But I'd like to do this from now on where we go through the chair if we have any questions. So Justin, you're going to play a big role in this. And Gene, I need you to be on board with this. So what we're going to do, what I'd like to do is for all of us to agree, if someone talks out of turn, they do not go through the chair, either raising their hand, or if I'm not here, going through the vice chair, it's a $5 fine. Justin, the reason you were going to be the judge, the jury, and the court reporter in this. The $5 fine gets added to a kitty, and next year at this time, we pick a charity in Madison that we want to donate to. Now, the chair obviously cannot be interrupted, so the chair will match up to $500 the fine in that light. And then next year we have a little party, we go to charity. Gene, I need you to be on board, and just in case I miss a meeting or potentially late for a meeting. Yes, go ahead, you're recognized.
Thank you, because I just want to make sure I'm screwed up right away. So I think it's a very interesting idea. I kind of like it.
Okay, good. Yes, Kate. Wow, look at this.
I'm going to be broke,
I
but
know
a
you are.
charity will be very happy.
Justin,
Well, as the judge, jury, and executioner, am I allowed to yell out to call someone out, or do I have to still go through the chair to call somebody out?
you have to be the chair. Basically, you have to tally this, right? Let's say Katie does it 7 times in one meeting, right? She's gonna owe $35, right? And then we tally at the end of the year. So you're doing that's your role. I think Fillmore's gonna be right there with you, Katie. Don't worry. What do we think? Are we okay with this? It's that fun. Make it look, yes, Fillmore.
Okay, so I take it that our real objective here is to maximize, make sure you end up with the $500 donation. So offline, we can divvy up each of us, how many times we get to do it a piece, just to make sure that you get tapped to the full amount.
That's a great idea. I'll tell you what, if no one does it, I'll still make the $500 donation, because the true objective here is to run these meetings and get, everybody gets a chance to speak. But I like the way you think, Bill Moore. All right, we good? There we
Yep.
go. We will begin the next meeting. I give you one mulligan. Justin, you got to take copious notes on this. All right. Finance member comments, liaison reports. Anybody have anything they'd like to add to the discussion? Gee.
Listen, I need my money. I got a wedding for my daughter in May. I can't afford this meetings anymore.
The Madison chair? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's a good idea. So last meeting, we talked about the undesignated fund balance and special appropriations and what to do with the money. So I just want to keep it in the forefront of discussions. We do have money in the undesignated fund balance that I believe we should be spending on current taxpayers. We've always tried to do that. We've always tried to keep it in the forefront. Later on in the agenda, we have some transfers of funds for the police in order for them to meet the police accountability bill requirements in terms of vehicle cameras and body cameras. So one of the things that I want us to keep in mind is these are the kinds of things, buying these cameras up front, and we certainly are going to buy the first 5. I understand tonight we're going to discuss that and use funds that the police chief would have used for the K9 car. But he has fixed the car and he is using those funds. And we're going to talk about this later for the 5 cameras. And what I want to keep in mind when we have these discussions, there are things that we can do now to offset future budgets. And if there's a way that we can use these funds for something like this, instead of leasing these cameras long-term, I would like us to see us use it, buy them up front so that we reduce the operation budget moving forward. So I want to keep that in mind. So when we talk about these things, if we can always really look at the undesignated fund balance as a potential way to offset the increases in the budget, I think we should, as a Board of Finance, be doing that. Interest rates are low and I get it, but I still believe if we have the money, it is much better for us to spend it than to put it on the backs of future taxpayers. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you. Phil Moore.
Yes, thank you. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to pick up on what Jean just said, because based on some of the comments from our a special meeting a week or so ago, this fund balance is burning a hole in some people's pockets. I would, as I look at some of the longer range planning, and I was going to speak on this when we get to the 89 million school in a few minutes. But as I look at it in the out years, we do have it would appear to be plans for to borrow. Looks like $24 million for school, or maybe it's 21 million for school upgrades and fixing roads or whatnot. More on that later, I guess, in the CIP. And these are things that we have typically in this town not borrowed for. We've always been on a pay-as-you-go basis. So I would, what I would suggest is that, and Peggy, I guess I'm going to throw this ball to you, is to take a look at these annual projected bond issues of $4 to $5, $6 million for several years in a row, and instead come up with a plan to use fund balance, put fund balance, some of it into reserves, and start building the reserves ahead of time, maybe spread it out over a few extra years, so that we will be paying as we go on these improvements, not going out and bonding for every little, roof shingle that we have to do. So I think there are a lot of good things we can do with this fund balance. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Fillmore. Justin?
Mr. Chair, thank you. I did have a comment I wanted to make even before the meeting, but more so now that I read, the legal verbiage in 7 and 8. And this is just, this is more about like thinking from my standpoint as the Board of Finance. We're all Madison residents, so we obviously all have opinions on all the projects and everything going on, and it's hard to look past that. But in terms of being objective, I kind of feel like the Board of Finance's job is to be objective at looking at things. And I certainly agree that both the school and the community center should go to referendum. But I kind of feel like that's the recommendation that I'd be making. I don't want to have this meeting, at least in my opinion, come across as that we're either in favor or against. We're kind of like we're unbiased or neutral at this point on the projects, at least as our role on the Board of Finance. And what we're really recommending is that, in fact, it does go to referendum. And when you read this language, which I'm sure is kind of required in typical, referendum language, it kind of reads like we're, recommending the project, which we may be, but do you hear what I'm thinking? I'm just feeling like at this point, we should I feel at least as our role on the Board of Finance, we should try to remain neutral or objective in terms of the project itself. And I'll stop there. So I just wanted to share that, which might hopefully expedite the meeting when we get into those. At least from my standpoint, I'll have less to say, so I won't have to mark myself down as an offender. But
Well put, Justin. Not the offender part. Any other board member comments or any liaison reports?
Yeah, I have
He wasn't recognized.
That was my free one for that. You said today
Yeah,
was
Jerry.
free.
Very good. Today was free. It's
But I
gonna
did
be fun. Go ahead, Fillmore.
Okay.
He was right on top of that. Justin already had you marked down, by the way.
The pension board did not meet since last time, but I'm wondering if maybe I'm going to put Stacy on the spot here. If when it comes down to the financial, she can comment. Have we received the reports from the actuaries? Oh, you're shaking your head, so we haven't yet. Getting a little late in the day for. Okay, so we don't have updated information as to the percentages and the required contributions for the upcoming year yet. All right.
Yes, Stacy.
They said in about a week to 2 weeks, Fillmore. So as soon as we get them, I'll forward them over.
All right, Jean's patiently had her hand up there. Go ahead, Jean.
Are you wanting to do the liaison reports now?
But it's on the agenda now, so if you're doing
Okay.
now.
So I'll just go back. I'm the liaison to the police commission. So this was discussed at their meeting and it's a future item as I started to talk about earlier, but just to give it a little more definition. As we talked about, the chief within the CIP had money for a new K-9 unit car. When the police accountability bill started to come to fruition by July 1st, they have to have these cameras in the car. So just to be clear, when we're doing this, that the idea is that we are moving funds from the K-9 unit car into the account so that we can now buy the equipment for the 5 vehicle systems, for vehicle systems in 5 cars. In addition to that, it also costs us cloud storage for each of those cameras. So the cloud storage comes out of Art Sickles' Technology Reserve Fund. He has been saving for this, knowing this was coming. So what we are doing is transferring money out of Art's account, the Technology Reserve account. We're moving it over to the Police Vehicle Fund. And the reason for that is more of an accounting procedural reason, meaning that Stacy will then be able to pay for the 5 vehicle systems out of one account instead of pulling it out of the 2 accounts. So that has to do with, I think it's, I don't have the agenda in front of me. I think number 11 and 7 are those, right? So just so everyone's clear,
At
we're not
11,
giving 11 and 7. So just to be clear, we're just moving money around and reallocating funds that already exist in order to get a jump start on these 5 vehicles.
hey, thanks, Gene. Justin, I know you had a discussion with the chief. You want to say that during the,
Yeah, no, Gene, obviously he did get in touch with Gene, so that was pretty much mitigates what I need to add. And just for, it is, I believe it kind of encompasses items 9, 10, and 11. And if I could now, or we can wait, the only thing I would add to that, everything Gene said is exactly what he told me and makes sense. But it doesn't mean, I guess we should just be, the one caveat is we should be aware that that K9 vehicle may not be going away permanently. It may show up at somewhere, year 2, year 3, year 4, we're not sure yet. But it may, it's not just, it's not, at this point, they don't know that it's going away completely, but it is being moved around as Gene described. So that's what my email was about earlier. So we pretty much covered it. So thank you. Thanks, Gene.
And just to clarify, he did actually make repairs to the current K9 unit car. So it's not that he's just abandoning it instead of getting a new one. He did make significant repairs to it. So it should, in essence, last us, for a little bit longer.
thank you. Any other liaison reports? Okay, we have a report from our first selectwoman, Peggy Lyons. Peggy,
I speak.
yes.
I can speak. Okay. Getting some ideas for my board. It'll be very interesting to see.
But that's your,
trying to put
you'll
this-
be very happy at the end of the year.
I guess just a couple of updates. Monday evening at 6 o'clock is the special town meeting for the appropriation for the purchase of the Jansen property, which your board voted on last week. And then the Board of Selectmen does meet after that. We are working on the budget, and just to comment on some of the suggestions Gene is making and Fillmore commented, I think that's going to be part of an active dialogue during the budgeting process, just like we did last year, where we tried to identify things where we could use the fund balance, whether it's infusing into a reserve account to build up the balance in that, or whether it's paying directly for things. So I think the board will continue to look at all those options, and any suggestions you guys have would be great to suggest to me as well as to the board. I'm working on the budget right now with the departments, and we should be on time submitting that, so our board can start deliberating in January on that. And then just a quick update that I talked to my board last week about the Board of Selectmen about the Island Avenue purchase agreement. We're kind of in the negotiation process. We're still targeting to get this on the ballot for the February 15th ballot. So we'll keep working towards that goal right now. But obviously it's, a kind of a process that you have to go through when you negotiate a complex purchase and sale agreement, which this does involve. But that process is continuing. The other thing is on Monday night, we will be talking about guidance that we want to give to the American Rescue Plan Committee. So we're finally getting that seated. Several of 2 members of your board is going to be sitting on that, and our board, as well as the Board of Education, and then 2 members of the public. Those public appointees, I think, will be ready for Monday night. That committee will meet starting in January. And I think this is another important dialogue, because one of the ways we have to help reduce tax burden is to try to use these funds in a smart way, to take care of some capital needs that we have, so we can get those kind of out of the CIP plan and, reduce needs in future years. So that's going to be an ongoing thing. And you probably have seen that I had made some suggestions in the CIP plan already of what I thought would be good to earmark for ARPA funds. And then the Board of Finance will get to see those recommendations later and be voting on that. We'll follow the same process we did. Once we get the recommendation from the committee, we'll come to the Board of Selectmen and then the Board of Finance, like you did in the other rounds of financing that we did for ARPA. So that's going to be moving forward and be a big discussion, I think, in January. And I think that's really kind of the key things, is just getting through, the budgeting cycle, which we all know is a big task at hand. So I will let you get back to your meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy. Any questions for Peggy Fillmore?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the Allen Avenue situation, the OLM prep, yeah, you are starting to run up against a tight timeline here. I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that if Peggy, if you all don't have that ready for our January 19th meeting, that I would not be opposed to calling a special meeting to deal with that when appropriate.
Thank you, Fillmore. Any other questions for Peggy? Thanks, Peggy. Okay, we had.
Jean has her hand up.
Jean, sorry, Jean.
I think, John, if you don't acknowledge people, I think you pay 10.
Right,
Yeah, 10 double when you ignore people.
Got it. Agreed.
I'm actually liking this game now. So now we're up to 10 for you. But one of the things that I just want to, that timeline is tough, and I am glad that Fillmore brought up having a special meeting. I am, as soon as we can get this settled, I think there's a lot that we're planning on, and what happens with Island, I think, becomes part of that, and it will help other projects that we have to do. So I agree with Fillmore that a special meeting, if we cannot get it by our next meeting date, should be on the agenda so that we do not hold this up because of our schedule for meetings.
Granted. I know Justin, go ahead, Peggy. Justin, go ahead, Peggy.
So I'm a little confused because the process for the sale of Island Avenue was a review by the Board of Finance, which was done in the fall. And so really the next step in this is just the Board of Selectmen recommending this to go to referendum, because it's a sale of a property. It's not a bonding. So so I guess, is this board of the view that they would be reviewing the contract and voting on this again?
Fillmore?
Yes, I think that's where we left when we did review it back in August or whenever it was. I think this board did say that we had a say in it, up or down, and that, as I recall, you agreed to that, Peggy.
Go ahead, Peggy.
The timeline is never included because we would be voting to send this to referendum on January 11th. And so when we talk, I think what my comments were directing, that we were aware of your concerns and the comments that you were making, and that we were going to try to incorporate everything we could into the purchase and sale agreement. But in terms of process, it was always, the timeline that we've been working with all along is that this would be voted on by the Board of Selectmen. We would vote on the purchase and sale agreement at a meeting. And then we would then vote to send it to referendum on January 11th. So, and that's kind of was the lease process the sale process according to what had been done previously, from what I understand. So I guess there's a little bit, let me do this. I will go back and talk to town council again, as well as I know Stacy and Lauren, but our understanding was there was a review. It was passed by you for review because this, once again, this isn't involving taking on debt or incurring an expense. It is selling an asset. And so I will go back and discuss that with town council. Okay.
Okay, I know Katie had her hand up. Katie?
Justin, were you before me?
No,
Were
He
you?
put his hand up. Go ahead.
I was raising my hand on behalf of Gene because John didn't see Gene's, but I didn't want to speak because I don't have any money.
This is Mulligan week, right? We're
This is
still in
Mulligan
week?
meeting.
Okay.
First, this is it.
Okay. So I guess my question is just about process. If the terms haven't really changed, what else our role would be in this, right? The contractual, the things in the contract seem to be, in my understanding, more of a Board of Selectmen lane, and then but if the financials are the same and haven't changed, I guess I just don't want to slow up the process if nothing drastically has changed. So I guess I'm just curious about, and I'm still learning, so feel free to educate me, Fillmore.
Fillmore?
Yes, well, thank you. This is not an education, Katie. I think first of all, the terms haven't been set yet, to my understanding. We have all expressed some desires to have certain things included, such as the tax payments in perpetuity, right of first refusal. If sometime down the road they sell it, decide, and I don't mean this for a minute as a slam against John, but after John gets tired of being involved with that and if somebody else takes over, they could sell it for $1 to somebody. So I think that our concern was just to make sure that these things were covered. And it does have a financial implication because I believe the desire that the Board of Selectmen is working on, and certainly our desire, is that there are provisions for payment in lieu of taxes or taxes, there's some sort of annual income to the town that comes from this. As I said, either taxes or payment in lieu of taxes, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's, among other things, that's how we get involved, because it does have to do with the future finances of the town. We want to make sure that those caveats are included in the agreement. So I think that, Katie, that's one of the things we're looking at.
Thanks, Fillmore. Any other discussion? Okay, I know Peggy said she was going to go back to the Corp Council and come back with some input. Any other liaison reports? Nothing, we're good. All right, citizen comments. Anybody from the public who'd like to speak? Like,
None at the
Stacy or-
moment. No.
No one more. Second time, third time, no one from the public would like to speak. New business. So I'm going to read the ordinance, the resolution. And if someone wants to read the next one, they're more than welcome to it. Discuss and take action to approve a resolution recommending an appropriation of $89,200,000 for costs related to the construction of a new pre-K grade 5 school on Mungertown Road, renovations and improvements for the conversion of Brown Intermediate School into a kindergarten grade 5 school, and improvements, upgrades of Polson Middle School, and the authorization of bonds or notes of the town in the amount not to exceed $89,200,000 to finance the appropriation or so much as may be necessary after deducting grants to be received for the projects. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends that the town of Madison appropriate $89,200,000 for the following projects: $61,150,000 for construction of a new pre-kindergarten through grade 5 school at Mungertown Road, $6,500,000 for renovations and improvements for the conversion of Brown Intermediate School into a kindergarten through grade 5 school, and a $21,550,000 for improvements and upgrades at Polson Middle School, including necessary air quality system upgrades and improvements to the auditorium. The appropriation may be expended for site improvements, design, construction, renovation, installation costs, engineering, professional fees, inspection, evaluation and surveying costs, materials, equipment, furnishings, purchase costs, legal fees, financing costs, interest expense, and temporary borrowings, other costs related to the projects. The appropriation shall include any federal, state, or other grants in agency for projects. The Board of Selectmen or a building committee, if established, is authorized to determine the particulars of the projects. The Board of Selectmen may reduce or modify the scope of the project, and the entire appropriation may be expended on the projects so reduced or modified. The Board of Selectmen may, by resolution, transfer funds among the projects as long as their total appropriation and bond authorization is not increased. Further resolved that the Board of Finance recommends the town finance the appropriation by issuing the town's bonds, notes, or temporary notes in an amount not to exceed $89,200,000 or so much thereof as may be necessary after deducting grants received for the projects. Would someone like to make that in the form of motion, please? Justin, thank you. Second.
Second.
Second by Katie. Okay, discussion. Jean.
I missed the beginning of that. Could you read it again?
I'm gonna come up with another kangaroo court. Don't worry. That was good, Gene. Justin.
John, I'm willing to read the next one if you'd like a break, but also just reiterating my comment more concisely. You know, as a Board of Finance member, I'm trying to remain neutral on this. I think we should, but obviously the project warrants going to referendum, you know, for the town to vote on. So certainly that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Fillmore. Gene, do I still get fined if I ignore Fillmore? There's got to be some leniency there, right? Go ahead, Fillmore. Just kidding, my friend.
Okay, thank you, John. Justin, thank you for pointing that out. I had glossed over as my eyes were glazing over as I read this whole thing earlier. But I think you're correct that saying that we recommend it is a little bit unusual. Peggy, I guess was this written by the town council?
Peggy, go ahead.
Yes, this was written by our bond counsel, who's actually here. You know, my understanding is this is kind of standard to this. And then there's obviously another vote that the Board of Selectmen takes when we actually send it to referendum. I mean, I think that, you know, when I look at this, you're recommending bonding here. Okay.
Right.
You're not necessarily recommending the school project. So obviously the town can't write a check for this. So this is how, as a Board of Finance, you would be saying, we're recommending, you know, that we would appropriate using bonding to pay for this, I guess is how I view it. But I mean, we could ask our bond counsel who is here.
Yeah, I think those are good points. I think that's appropriate for the last paragraph where it says further resolved that the Board of Finance recommends that the town finance the appropriation. Yeah, that's okay. But the big long first one, I'm wondering if we could say the Board of Finance authorizes or that the town of Madison appropriate or something to that effect. But
I think the standard language. I've seen a lot of these, but
well, remember, the Board of Selectmen recommended an appropriation. It's our resolution, right? So you're approving our resolution, right?
And I'm going to acknowledge Matt's there. I'm going to acknowledge.
I'm not the lawyer though, so.
Yeah, so Justin made this point before. I think, you know, different form of government, as you know, Fillmore, where you have the legislative body and the CEO can pass. It doesn't go through referendum. This is basically saying the residents get the vote on it. But Katie.
I just having been through this before, for the last referendum on the schools, I believe this was boilerplate language that we used last time too. And my understanding was we were recommending it to move forward in the process. So move forward so that the Board of Selectmen can then take action so that then the voters can take action.
Matt, do you want to jump in, Matt? I'm pretty sure that it's standard language, but go ahead if you like.
Yeah, and it is standard language. I don't think you'd see any bond resolution that didn't have that where you were going to referendum. It also comes from Title VII, right? So where it is in the Board of Finance statutory section, which is chapter 106. And they use the word recommend. So that's why lawyers, bond counsel use that word recommend.
Thank you, Matt. And I think it's clear at the end, Fillmore, the Board of Finance recommends that the town finance the appropriation. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think in essence, it's standard language. It's something that's in there. I am okay with it. Any other, Fillmore, go ahead.
No,
No? No, you didn't want to make a comment? Okay. Any other, just, or you just raise your hand to test me. Just trying to see if it gets another $10 in there, Gene. You see that? Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution, recommend the appropriation of 89,200,000, signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, that motion carries unanimously. Justin, since you volunteered to read the next one, be my guest.
Okay, ready? Number 8, discuss and take action to approve a resolution recommending an appropriation of $15,900,000 to renovate the Academy School into a community center and municipal building, and the authorization of bonds or notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $15,900,000 to finance the appropriation, or such as may be necessary after deducting grants to be received for the project. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends that the town of Madison appropriate $15,900,000 to renovate the Academy School into a community center and municipal building, the project. The appropriation may be expended for site improvements, design, construction, renovation, and installation costs, engineering and professional fees, inspection, evaluation, and surveying costs, materials, equipment, purchase costs, furnishings, legal fees, financing costs, interest expense on temporary bond borrowings, and other costs related to the project. The appropriation shall include any federal, state, or other grants in aid received for the project. The Board of Selectmen or a building committee, if established, is authorized to determine the particulars of the project. The Board of Selectmen may reduce or modify the scope of the project, and the entire appropriation may be expended on the project as so reduced or modified. Further resolved that the Board of Finance recommends that the town finance the appropriation by issuing the town's bonds, notes, or temporary notes in an amount not to exceed $15,900,000, or so much thereof as may be necessary after deducting grants to be received for the project.
Form of a motion, someone want to make that motion? No more, Gene. Second,
Yeah.
Katie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of appropriation of the $15,900,000 signify by saying aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, that motion carries unanimously. All right. Discuss and take action to amend the 2021-2022 capital improvement program police vehicles reserve fund to remove the purchase of the K-9 vehicle and replacement of $32,000. Motion, please. Thank you,
So
Katie.
moved.
Justin, second.
Second.
Justin. Discussion. Gene or Justin, I think you covered it. Anything else you want to add? Or Katie, then Justin.
I just want to thank Jean and Justin for providing some context for me, that it's really helpful.
Thank you. Justin?
And I was just going to suggest, obviously, any questions, I try to answer them, but obviously Gene covered it. And perhaps we could have voted on all three at the same time since they're all related. So maybe at this point, we could vote on 10 and 11 together, just to save a few minutes.
I like that, Justin. He's trying to say, Gene, I'm not doing this the right way. Is that what he's saying? That's what I heard. What, Justin? Go ahead.
Just making suggestions.
How about we do this one as we have the motion and second, then we'll do the next two together, all right? We have a motion and second. Any more discussion? Signify by saying aye. Approve.
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
Approve. Any days? Abstention, motion carries. Okay, we'll do them both together, Justin. Great recommendation. Discuss and take action to amend the 21-22 capital improvement program police vehicle reserve fund to include a purchase of 5 in-vehicle video systems with 5 years of cloud storage and accompanying installation costs in the amount of $60,415. and discuss and take action to approve a line item transfer request from the technology department in the amount of 39,000. So I want to make the motion collectively. Thank you, Katie. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Fillmore. Discussion. Seeing none, sorry, go ahead, Cindy.
I just have a question since I'm very new. So is 9 and 11 going towards the cost of 10? Is that the point? Okay.
That's it. And
Basically, 11's going towards the cost of 9 and 10.
Is it?
No.
Yeah. Because he had reserves and, go ahead, Fillmore.
Well, let Justin go ahead first.
and I could be wrong, but my assessment was essentially 9 and 11 are going towards the cost of 10.
Correct, yes. 39 is it, correct.
Yeah.
Because they removed the vehicle and they had to transfer request from the technology department, so yes.
Right.
9 and 11, yes, Gene.
And the only point in doing that, Cindy, is just so that it comes out of one account instead of Stacy pulling it from two. It's just a more efficient way to do it.
Good question, Cindy. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand or aye. Opposed, abstention, that motion carries. Okay, we have to discuss and take action to approve request from the Beach Recreation and Senior Service Department to release funds from the equipment reserve account in the amount of $9,846.72, pending the Board of Selectmen approval. I need someone make the motion, please. Gene, second. Katie. Discussion. I did talk to Austin. This is part of the state bid. So and he also did some due diligence, and he said a couple of places that he called, it was actually higher. And he thought it would really reduce the amount of time it took to get this done. And he also said if we approved it in the Board of Selectmen, we have it in a couple of weeks. So, which would be a good thing. Any other, Justin?
Maybe just for the audience and for us and our new members, just Stacy, do you know the balance of that account, that reserve account? And I know they've shared that in prior times.
It's actually within dollars. It's a little over $9,800 in that account. So it will basically zero it out at this point.
Someone else had their hand up. Was that you, Katie? No? Any other discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstention? That motion carries. All right, we have discussed and take action to approve the 2022-2023 budget workshop calendar. Everybody have it, look at it. Any issues or, yes, Jean?
So we go through this every year. Everyone looks at it, swears it's fine, and then when it comes up to it, everyone complains. So I just want to reiterate, really look at it, really look at your calendars so that we can get this, because it's all a bunch of, yeah, that's good for me. But if we could really seriously take it, it would be helpful for everybody.
Fair point. And go ahead. Yes, Katie, that's all right. You still get this for today, this meeting.
So close. Is that because, Jean, we all have to be there?
So we don't,
Nope.
It's all right,
okay.
Jean. Like I said, this will be fun.
So it's not that you have to be there, but it certainly makes it more efficient if we're all, the thing is, you don't want to, in my opinion, you don't want to have the staff coming in to meeting again, the same questions at the 11th hour, getting pulled in again to reiterate. So the more we can all be there, it really makes it a more streamlined process, and we can focus on bigger issues rather than just pulling in and trying to reschedule meetings. That's my thought.
Okay. And in that case, on the 16th of February, I will be in Florida. I can probably tune in from there, but I don't know for sure. Until
I know, listen, I think, Jane, you just brought up, and I'm looking at it a little more serious too. And like I said, sometimes the evenings are even harder than during the day for me, mostly because of my kid's schedule. Justin, you had your hand up.
I was just gonna say, I'm not the chairman, but as the judge, if someone directs a question at another person like Katie did to Jean, I would say Jean is allowed to respond without calling to the chair. That's that. And I'd like to read a lengthy resolution to put that into the record.
I may have to overrule you on that, because if Katie's not recognized, she has no right to do that either. Go ahead.
Are Board of Finance meetings always so much fun?
Always, always. Until Fillmore goes on the roll, we're usually pretty good. So Gene, can I go back to what you said? Do we look at this a little bit more? And I mean, I don't know how much you want it. You know what I mean? Do we look at it hard? I mean,
Good.
I'm assuming since you used my name, you've called me out. So now
yes, I
can
did.
see.
You could, yes, your assumption is correct.
Thank you. So I would say this, it's not, if like Katie knows she's in Florida that day, I mean, clearly it doesn't have to be, everyone has to be here. But I do think out of respect for the scheduling process and bringing town staff in, I do think we really do have to at least try to sync our calendars. And if there's something major like Katie has, then I think you need to say, and maybe John, if you have a hockey event, maybe just to make sure somebody else is there, and then you touch base with that person rather than bringing the staff back in or offline, have questions for Peggy. But I think it's just really a matter of respect for everyone's time, so that we're not dragging people in several times for the same conversation.
Very fair point. I agree. Yes, Katie.
I don't know if this is a question for Stacy or not, but once we approve this calendar, will the invites come out to our yes, okay, because that totally helps me out. Thank you.
I mean, my issue here is it could change over the calendar. So right now it looks good, but so to Gene's point, if I can't make it or someone else can, we just gotta, get updated some other way. Any other discussion or thoughts on it? We're gonna approve the budget workshop for fiscal
So
20.
moved.
Second. Katie, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? That motion carries. All right, discuss and take action to approve the 2022 meeting schedule. I have no issues with that at all, but yes, Gene. Who spoke? No, go ahead.
You're muted.
Justin wanted to be recognized.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, John. I'll admit, I'm looking at it for the first time right now, the budget workshop schedule.
Yeah, we already voted on that.
I know, but it says 2020.
Well, on the, it says 2022 on the, what I'm looking at.
What am I looking at?
Stacy?
There's two separate versions in there. If you look at the second
You
one.
I get the old version, Justin. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay, there it is. Sorry.
Yeah, there's the old one and then the one that we're proposing for this upcoming year.
Got it. Sorry. That's it.
So we went backwards a little bit there, but that's okay. But we did approve that budget, but workshop. So the meeting schedule pretty much stayed the same in terms of the time and the day. Any questions or discussions on that? Yes, Fillmore.
Yes, I think I raised this at the last meeting when we first looked at it, but if you look down the list, November 17th says Tuesday, but the 17th is really a Thursday.
Yeah, you did bring that up last time. So we can amend that to correct so it's supposed to be on the 17th or it's supposed to be on the. Stacy, you with me? So we trying to do it the day before, or we trying to do it the day after? I know we don't want,
What's wrong? Hang on.
well, first of all, it's not a Wednesday. Second of all, it says Tuesday, November 17th. And Fillmore pointed out that's Thursday.
So you want it to be Wednesday, the 16th?
No,
That would make sense, but I'm trying to figure out why we have Tuesday, November 17th on there. 8 AM. Oh, it's gotta be post-election. Is that what, no, it's not. There's no election next year.
8 AM.
I think it's just, I think we gotta move that to Wednesday, November 16th. Yes, Katie? Phil, I'm
That
glad you
doesn't
brought that.
explain why it's in the morning. There's got to be a reason.
No, because I'm thinking if it is, don't they have a meeting right after the election? But there's no election there this year, so maybe that was what it was. I don't know.
I honestly don't remember why it is that way. So we can make it the 16th. And then if there's a reason, we can always revise it later.
Agreed. So let me change it to amend it to Wednesday, November 16th at 7 PM. And if we need to change it again, we will. All right. So we need a motion as amended, Fillmore.
I
Yes.
think we're gonna have to charge you $5 because you did not recognize Jean with her hand up.
That was $10.
20 now. Yes, Gene, you have something you want to say?
No, I don't want to say it. No, I think with that little change, I think that's just something, Stacy, if you could just figure it out and get back to us, because if there is a reason and we got to change it again, so let's leave how it is, find out, and then go back, because there may be a reason.
So you want to leave it as it is? I'm fine
Yeah,
with that.
because if we change it, then change it back, and then change it back, it's silly. Just
We could
do it
always
as
change-
is, Stacy. Yeah.
But is it Tuesday or Thursday?
Was it's gonna,
It said
we're gonna say
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
November
It's Tuesday.
17th. That-
It's
that's a wrong
Tuesday,
date.
and then we'll come back to it.
I'm fine. This is not,
Tuesday, the 15th.
at 8 AM. If I'm late, All right. Is there a motion there in a second to approve the board meeting for 2022? Thanks, Katie. Second. Thanks, Cindy, for seconding. All in favor, say aye. Hands. Thank you. Opposed, abstention, that motion carries. That might have been the toughest thing we did tonight. All right, we have to discuss and take action to approve the 2021-2023 board liaison assignments and the appointment of Laura Downs to the CIP as the Board of Finance public member. So I have that in front of me. So I'm just going to go down the list. So we have Katie and Justin as CIP. We have Laura Downs as a CIP committee public member. Justin, your senior services. Katie, you have your hand up already?
I just want to thank Laura Downs for stepping forward. She's already, before being appointed, already been at 2 meetings, so I'm grateful to her.
It's fantastic. We're going to address this a little bit better. I'm just going to go down the list, but it's very nice here. So Justin, I have your senior services, Cindy, Beach and Rec, Katie, Board of Ed, Board of Selectmen would be myself and Katie, Pension Committee, Fillmore, Police Commission would be Jean, and Jean, I may pop in there once in a while. Economic Development would be Justin. You said you wanted to keep that, and Cindy. Library Board would be Fillmore. Youth and Family Services would be Cindy, and Ambulance would be Jean. Are we good with that? Everybody okay? Did I miss anything? Yes, sir.
Who is going to be with you on the police commission?
Jean.
Jean, okay, yeah.
It'd be mainly Jean, just so you know. Yes, Katie.
Do we
You
have?
can't say no already. Just started.
Do we have, no. I'm good. I just, the only thing that wasn't mentioned was the ARP.
Oh, yeah,
Can
we have
do
to,
that?
you know why? Because it wasn't on my list.
So I just
We have-
was curious about that.
So we need 2. Yes, Peggy.
I mean, I think the recommendation had been to keep the CIP members, also the ARP members, because there's definitely going to be a back and forth between those 2 committees. It keeps it simple, and that's what the Board of Selectmen has done.
I am more than okay with that. Justin and Katie, I'm sure you're good with that? All right. So I don't think we have to take any official action, right? Or is it Laura that we have to vote on for CIP committee? Gene? Did you want to say something?
Fillmore had his hand up.
Raise your hand.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Cindy, I see that you're only in there for one thing. I feel like we're ignoring you.
She's on 3, by the way.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not seeing your hand and you're not listening to me. So it's a good mix. No, she's on Beach and Rec, Youth and Family Services and Economic Development.
Okay.
You want to give her another one?
No, that's fine. I'm sorry.
Okay. Do we need a formal vote for this, for the CIP committee for the public member? No? Okay. So that's the liaison assignments. All right, let's go back. Thank you, everyone, for helping to serve on those boards. Review of financials. Stacy, you want to jump in here?
I don't have much to say unless anybody has any questions. I forwarded the fund balance where we are right now. The revenue and expenditures were in your packet. Health insurance, we ended the last fiscal year very healthy over our goal. We have gotten a preliminary budget projection, and it looks like our health insurance could go up close to 8% for this upcoming budget. That's really all I have at this point, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Any questions for Stacy? Okay, citizen comments. Is there anybody from the public who'd like to speak?
None.
There are none. Second, 3 times. Public information sessions closed. Listen, I think this would be easier a little bit in person, but while we're doing this virtual, the raising the hand thing will work as best we can, and that's it. Fillmore?
I'm sorry?
Motion to adjourn.
There you go, Katie. Come on, Fillmore. Second,
How's the what?
motion to adjourn. That was your
Oh,
job.
okay, right. Sorry.
Second,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Hi.
Thank you, everyone. Meeting's adjourned.
Hi.
Good night. Happy holidays, everybody.
10:59.
Yep.
Happy holidays.
Good night.
Thank you.